Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking all about classics, which is one of my absolute favourite things to talk about on my channel. So I'm going to be telling you about all of the classics which I've been most excited to read recently, all of which I hope to read in 2020. We definitely have a range of classics in here. We have books that were written in the early 1800s all the way up until the 1980s. We have male and female authors, we have short classics and massive classics. We have a vast range of topics and themes and writing styles. As we go through the list, please do let me know down below in the comments if you have read any of these classics before. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on them. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is one that I am already reading, albeit slowly, and that is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I am only around a fifth of the way through this book at the moment, but I already know that this is a new all-time favourite book of mine. I absolutely love this book. So I have loved the story of Les Miserables for a very long time. For those of you who don't know what it is about, it is a 1800s French classic that tells the epic life of a man named Jean Valjean with the backdrop of the French Revolution. I love the film, I love the music. Cameron and I went and saw Les Mis on stage a couple of years ago and it was the best stage show I have ever seen. I just love everything about this. Cameron then bought me this special edition of the book for my birthday and I knew at some point I was going to try and tackle this. I knew that it would take me quite a long time to read when I got round to it. It is over 1,200 pages long, but I was so ready to just dive into this and see if I loved the book as much as I hoped I would. And I honestly could not love this more. I am constantly blown away by it as I'm reading it. On almost every page I am underlining things. I cannot explain how intricate and powerful and insightful and just beautiful this book is. I am reading this bit by bit. It is split into many different sections with lots of littler sections within them, so that is very helpful. I just love settling down of an evening on my sofa and reading a couple of sections of this book. If Cameron is around, I will without fail have to read out some passages to him every time I read it because it is just so perceptive and stunning. So my reading experience of this one has been epic so far. I have absolutely loved it and I already know I'm going to be really sad when it's over. The next classic that I want to read this year is Agnes Gray by Anne Bronte. So I loved The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte when I read it last year. Anne Bronte instantly became my favourite Bronte sister, hands down. She is so feminist, so kick-ass, so no nonsense, but also really romantic at the same time, and I cannot wait to read more by her. Agnes Gray is about a young woman who becomes a governess, and it tells the story of Agnes's family and the families that she works with. I believe that this draws on Anne Bronte's own experiences of being a governess, and it's meant to be a comment on gender and class and education. I have very high hopes for this one, and it's also pretty short, so it shouldn't take me too long to get through at all. Quick throw-in question for you guys to answer down below in the comments. Who is your favourite Bronte sister? I know people have really strong opinions on this, so I would love to know your guys' answers. Please, please let me know. The next classic that I want to read in 2020 is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. If you've been watching my channel for a little while, you will have heard me say before that I need to read some Elizabeth Gaskell, and I am here today to tell you that I still need to read some Elizabeth Gaskell. 2020 is going to be the year, I promise. I know that I'm going to love Elizabeth Gaskell. I just know it. She is my kind of classic author. Victorian, female-focused, familial and romantic dramas, social commentary. She just sounds as though she has everything. As far as I'm aware, North and South is about a young woman called Margaret who moves to the north of England with her family. Here, she becomes very aware of the poverty and suffering that is faced by the mill workers, and I believe some kind of a turbulent relationship forms between herself and the mill owner. This has my name written all over it, and I am so overdue picking it up. This is the classic that I'm going to be picking up next, watch this space. The next book that I want to read is Where Angels Fear to Tread by E.M. Forster. I adore E.M. Forster. He is one of my favourite authors of all time. Howard's End is one of my favourite books of all time. I also loved A Room with a View, and I recently finished Morris by him, so I'm just trying to work my way through all of his books. Where Angels Fear to Tread is one of his most popular novels, and I believe it follows an older woman who is widowed and she marries an Italian man 12 years younger than her. Her family disapprove. I think the couple then have a baby and move to Italy, and that's all I know. E.M. Forster is so good at like everything. His characters are so great and interesting and dynamic. I love his storylines. He weaves throughout scathing, perceptive social commentary. So I have very high expectations for this one, and I am sure I'm going to love it. Next is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. This is a more modern classic, and I don't really know what this one is about basically at all. Does anyone really know the plot of Virginia Woolf novels if they haven't read them? Let's be honest. I think this is about a family who go on holiday, presumably to a lighthouse. I read Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf a few years ago. I really enjoyed it. It's one that I would actually like to reread at some point soon. I'm sure that there is so much more I could get out of it on a second reading. But I also want to read all of her other novels at some point, one of which is this one. This is the one I own, so we will start here. She is just an incredible author, and I'm really looking forward to taking my time with this one. The next book that I want to read this year is Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. This one follows a young woman who goes and works on a very large estate, and here she attracts the attention of 3 very different suitors. I have read one other Thomas Hardy in the past, Tess of the D'Urbervilles, and I really enjoyed that one. It was kind of grim and sad, but I still liked it. It was a really cool one to analyse and delve a bit deeper into, and I thought Tess was a really cool character. I believe this one is going to explore community and passion and rural life. I'm especially excited to get to know the characters in this one, and I've also heard that this one might be Thomas Hardy's sunniest novel, which sounds nice. The penultimate book that I'm going to talk about today is Perfume by Patrick Susskind. This is the most modern classic on the list. It was published in the 1980s, and it is set in 18th century France and follows a man who has an extraordinary sense of smell. I believe that he collects smells, and one day he smells a beautiful young virgin and he sets out to create the perfect perfume. This book has intrigued me ever since it came onto my radar a couple of years ago. It sounds weird as fuck. I know that a lot of people have really enjoyed this book. I don't think I've really seen a bad review of it. I think it's meant to be very dark and sensual, and the reading experience is going to be very immersive. I think this one could be great. And the final classic that I want to make sure I read in 2020 is a reread, and that is Howard's End by E.M. Forster. Set in the early 1900s, this book follows most primarily the Schlegel sisters as they befriend the rich business-owning Wilcoxes and the poor but intelligent Leonard Bast. I have already said that I love this novel. I read it for the first time a couple of years ago and it became an instant favourite of mine. It absolutely blew me away. Ever since then, I have wanted to reread it and experience it all over again. This is a perfect novel for me. On the surface, it is a charming story about many different characters as their lives become entwined. I love all of the characters. There are really complex relationships and dramas, and it is drenched in social and political commentary. I just think I'm going to love rereading this. Rereading a new favourite novel is so exciting and so lovely, and I am sure there is so much more that I'm going to get in this from a reread. So those are all the classics that I really want to get to in 2020. As I said at the beginning of the video, please do let me know if you've read any of these books and how you found them. Also let me know if you haven't read these books and you also want to get to them, or just other classics that you really want to get to in 2020. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. I know I say it every video, but I appreciate it so much. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope your weeks are going really well. I can't wait to talk to you down below, and I will see you all soon with another video. Bye guys.